Welcome to Healing Tales. I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts, here to help you become the best pet parent you can be, with simple, natural care that works for real life, real budgets, and real pets. Good day, I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts, and you are in for a really exciting episode of Healing Tales. And I am so delighted that Marketa Jefferson is here to join us. And if you do not know Marketa, I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction to her. She is the founder of Paws Balance and a certified holistic pet health coach with an incredible background as a groomer, a massage therapist, and advocate for integrative pet care. And actually, you worked in a conventional veterinary hospital at some point. So you know the industry literally from inside and out. But her journey from Czech Republic to becoming a trusted voice in holistic pet wellness here in the United States is truly nothing short of inspiring. And recently, Marketa earned a spotlight, earned a position on The Blocks, which is one of the most popular business building reality shows, but they actually get into the dirt and do the stuff. And she was able to showcase her entrepreneurial spirit to a whole new audience. And to kick things off, Marketa, welcome. Thank you. Glad you're here.
I'm delighted to be here, and I always look forward to have a little chat with you. It's always fun. We always have a great time, and I'm really happy that you invited me on the podcast. That's great. And so far, I have been listening to podcasts of yours in the past, and they are awesome. I love it. I do really recommend it to everybody to listen in.
That's amazing. Thank you. It's been fun. This has been a real passion project, and I'm so delighted it's getting carried off. So let's start kind of with why you made the choice to go into holistic pet health and specifically the coaching program. What created that transition away from conventional veterinary medicine, grooming, all of that?
I think I have to really start that my love from animals was literally when I was born. I remember sneaking in animals to my bedroom without my parents knowing, and my mom would wake up in the morning and find these snail's trails, and she would flip out because she would be like, "What else did you bring home?" I never really approached the veterinarian school because I didn't think I can be dealing with putting animals down. That was like a big thing. I was like, I cannot do it. I would be heartbroken. I cannot see the dogs and pets dying. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. And I became a teacher. When I was 18, I got a chance to come here because everything opened up, the border opened up, and everybody's talking America is the best, this and that. So I was like, you know what? Enough of Russian language and everything. Let's experience the other part that we were never exposed to. We never knew anything about. So I came here when I was 18. I didn't speak a word of English. And I started to really just trying to adjust to the language, to the new culture, which was definitely different than Europe. And I kind of liked it. And I just did everything in order to pay bills. While I was doing that, I still was volunteer in shelters, was helping out, was having animals around. I was like, I really, really like this. Only recently, like 10, 15 years ago, I was like, you know what? I really love this. I am in heaven when I am around the animals. There's nothing better than a wagging tail of a dog when I approach them. And I said, I have to figure something out. And I said, okay, let's, I don't think I have time and the money to become a veterinarian at that age. So, and with a small child, it was kind of hard. So I said, you know what? I'm going to become a groomer. Because when I was in the shelter, I kind of, was taking care of them, giving them haircuts, which looked horrible at that time. But I was like, I really start to really like it. So I went to school. I ended up working in an animal hospital, which I'm very grateful to Mark Gertman, who owned the hospital in Hapag. And he literally taught me a lot of stuff that I didn't know. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And, I did exactly what was written down, following the protocols, doing this, doing that without questioning it, always take the dog in, make them feel better, and just release them. That was the goal, right? You come, you have a sick dog, you take care of it, and boom. But I started to question why these same dogs sometimes come same time all the time and being treated for the same thing, and it's just circle that never ends. And then as you treat them more, they create some other problems, and then on top of that problem, you start to treat this problem. And I was like, okay. And then I kind of wanted to really work for my own. I was kind of, there's a lot of drama in animal hospital, a lot of things that I didn't want to be involved. I don't want to be even want to go into it, but that was the step I made. I want to have my own company, and I want to have a one-on-one contact, and I will do it my way. And at the animal hospital, I remember I started to take a lot of sick dogs at home because we were not emergency hospital. So the thought, knowing that I'm going to come the second day in the morning and I'm going to find dead dogs, just didn't sit well with me. So I started to take them home. I did the best I could. Some of them I was able to save, some of them I was not, but it was really, really, it was not really pretty. I just couldn't
No.
handle it. And I started to kind of look into a different stuff, like the lemon for trachea and this and that. And I remember the owner was making fun of me, and I was laughing at the time too. It's like, oh, so when there is a cancer with a dog, you're gonna do baking soda? I'm like, listen, if that helps, let's do that. I mean, you give me the advice, we are all here, and if that lemon, hey, hallelujah. So it was always like a joke, but then I had my own business. I think that's when I realized, oh my God, this is like I'm a groomer. I get the dog on the table. I am there every 4 weeks with the family, and I literally see them going through the same thing nonstop. The same problems, the same medication. It gets better, and then it gets worse again. And I started to question it. And I think the big point when I completely changed was when I said I'm gonna give myself a present for my 45th birthday, and I bought myself the naked cat. And unfortunately, he was sick. He was so sick at the beginning, I wasn't sure what to do. And he was not moving. And it was during a COVID. And when you went to the vet, you had to stay outside. So that was really bad. I wanted to be with him nonstop. And I was just really, really crying all the time. And I went to 3 different vets, and they said he is dying and he needs to be euthanized. And I said, no way. I don't know what it was, but in my heart, there has to be something. And I'm sorry, I'm not listening to you. And I started to research, and I find out by the research that I think he has FIP. And that was feline infectious, I don't even know,
Peritonitis.
Yes.
Peritonitis, yes.
And at that time, it was really that sentence. And I just was like, no, I have been waiting for this cat all my life, and I'm not giving up after spending so much money and all the emergency care I went through. And I went to the doctor and I said, I think there's the FIP. And it's like, okay, you have no proof that he has FIP because the dry version is really hard to diagnose. There's no testing for it. So even if he has FIP, just, he's not going to live. And I could see him declining by hour. And I just said, no, I'm not leaving him in a hospital, especially when I cannot be even next to him. I said, if he dies in my care at home. And that night, I did not sleep. And I went on a crazy research. And I found out there's a group upstate New York, and they are doing a testing for FIP cats. And they have a medication, GS44, And that actually can save the cat. So I contacted them and they asked me, why do you think he has FIP? I said, I don't know. I did my research, I am desperate. I said, if I have this medication, am I going to harm him if he doesn't have it, or I'm going to make him feel better? They were like, you know what? You cannot harm him more than he is. But let's try it. If you think, there's nothing to lose at this moment. And I literally through Facebook group, it was the only group, and it was like like in a bad movie. Don't say anything FIP. Don't say anything about this. Come to the house, pick up the medication that is like in a box, and blah blah blah, and you have to inject the medication. After that, I learned, okay, this medication is very costly, and you have to inject the injection for 84 days. And I'm like, oh my god. But I said, you know what? I'm not giving up. Even if I have to, I don't know, I'm going to do it. So after 2 days of the medication, I have a video when he actually gets up, sits down, and looks, because he was blind, he was deaf, he was like done. And after 2 days of injecting him, he got up. And I'm like, oh my God. So I couldn't believe it. And that woke me up. Oh my God, I'm glad I didn't listen. And it just, sometimes it's okay to question, to go with your gut and find other options if there are other options. And don't be afraid to ask. So I started to advocate for the cats. I actually found Dr. Linda Loudon. She was working in emergency hospital at that time. And she was the only one who was willing to help me to run blood tests, because he needed blood tests every 2 months. And she helped me out. I'm grateful, because we were literally sneaking the cat in and out for the blood test. And she helped me, and he survived. And I was able to help a lot of other cats. Every time when Linda got an emergency with FIP, she sent them my way. I introduced them to medication. Of course, I gave them a choice. You can save the cat. It's costly. So again, it's up to them if they can afford it, but they have a choice to save this cat.
Yes.
And it really since then went big, and they started to really talk about it. Facebook went crazy. Communities went crazy. And now you actually, when you go, the veterinarians, they say, okay, your cat has FIP and this is what you do. And it's still not FDA approved, but you can get the medication without hiding and being, terrified that you're going to get locked up.
Yes. Well, and this is it, because it was an experimental drug that was being imported from the EU. And then now I think finally there is a compounding pharmacy in the United States that will produce it for kitties. But that's so ridiculous, because you found the thing to support your cat, to help him heal, to help reduce the immune response to the virus. And that's really what creates all of the symptoms. But you had to sneak around. And even though you could show the veterinarians, my cat's doing better, can you help me make sure that he is okay on this medication? You got no's. You got no help from them.
Unfortunately, they have to follow the protocols. That's what they are, taught. They get paid for it. They spend a lot of money. They have 15 minutes for every patient that comes through.
Yes.
And this is what they do. They cannot really go out of, and especially now, if your veterinarian is owned by private or it's like, come
corporate,
on.
Yeah, I know. But this is absurd, right? Because they can still charge you to examine your cat and draw the labs and then tell you the results. But they just wouldn't even do this, yeah?
Yeah, it's crazy. So that's when I realized, you know what? I just want to really find more. And that's when I find your course, because when I find something on the dog at the van, I was just a groomer. I'm not supposed to say anything. I'm not supposed to treat. I'm not supposed to diagnose. I'm not supposed to do anything. But then people started to realize, okay, she knows something. So what I started to do is, okay, this is my opinion. I think your dog is having trouble with this. please go to your vet and bring this up. If there is any question, give me a call and be there at the vet office. I would more than be happy to talk to them and point them the directions what I see. Because when I get the dog on the table, I have the whole hour with that dog. I go through every inch of the body, especially when I put them in the bath. I see them with the wet hair. I can see every bun. I can see every skin issue, every infection, every ear infection, anal glands problem. And that's why I'm like, okay, I just spent 1 hour with your dog and this is what's happening. And it's serious. Please go to your vet and do this. And people started to really take me seriously because I was just not a groomer. And then I started your school. I'm certified, and suddenly, like, oh, totally different game change. Like, she has the paper for it. I was like, serious?
Of course.
But it does work. So it
Right.
just, and now I am here to give you the options. And when I see something and I ask the vet parents, please get me the blood work and let me know what your dog is eating. And if your dog is going to your vet every month and getting all these shots, maybe there's something more deeper inside going on, like maybe the diet or maybe the medication is not sitting well with the dog. Let's just talk about it. And my goal now is to work with the veterinarian and get on the same page. And I have to tell you, sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. But now, lately, more than likely, I am working with them together on the dog because I told them, listen, why did you start this business? To help the dogs. Why did I start this? To help the dog. We have the same goals. And now we have a desperate pet parent. So let's give them options and he can decide which way or combine the two ways and get to the plan of getting the dog healthy. That's all I'm trying to empower the pet parents. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to research. Don't ask Google and ChatGPT. Just, ask professionals and don't be, cheap to pay some money for professionals if you know that they have good reviews and go for there. Ask second opinions. Your vet sometimes knows this, but I always say go and ask for a second opinion. It happens to me all the time. I just had a
Yes.
I just had a pet parent too. I'm like, okay, I don't think this is that. And if you can get a second opinion, please do that. Not for me, for your dog.
Yes. And this is the frustrating thing, right? Is that because most veterinarians now are employed in corporate practices, they really do just have 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And for a dog that's got chronic health issues, there's no way to really
Mm-hmm.
do the work that's required to get down to what the root cause is, even from a
Mm-hmm.
conventional aspect. So this is part of what we're trying to educate pet parents about is that often if you've got a dog or a cat that's got chronic health issues, you're not going to solve that in a 15-minute visit with your vet. And you really need somebody that can sit with you, go through all of the things that have happened over the years, and start to figure out, oh, maybe this incident from 3 years ago is actually creating part of the issues that you're experiencing now. And then that gives a whole different perspective. And the pet parent is heard completely. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the other thing too. They'd like to tell veterinarians more, but because of the time constraint, it's just not possible.
That's correct. That's exactly it. So I think it's so important to try to work all together and get them the best option to choose and get the dogs better.
Yeah. So and there's basic concepts that we use to help support our pet parents and their pets. But from your perspective of having been a groomer for years, what were the most common things that you were seeing that started young and then ended up turning into massive problems later in life?
Yeah, I think it was the fact that you don't know anything else and you just completely following what your veterinarians say. But unfortunately, if you end up giving more and more medication to your dog, these medication cause the side effects and you actually bringing on more things in the future. So when I see the skin infection, we end up giving the drugs every month, the injection every month, but these they have a side effects. Then feeding them dry, very high processed kibble can create diabetes later because it's full of starches, full of carbs, and that gonna cause a lot of issues in the future. So I see people saying like, he likes the kibble, he's fine, but he's not gonna be fine when he's 9 or 10 years old, and then he's gonna break the bank. And that's what I see all the time. Suddenly everything just piles up, and medication after medication on top of the other medication. And now, like, you don't know if your dog is being sick or just reacting to the medication. And I see it now every day. And just sometimes, like, really, okay, let's sit down, review everything what your dog is having, what are the really reaction side effects, and let's try to really eliminate and clear everything up, and maybe give them, instead of this drug, let's give them mushroom, let's give them the CBD, let's give them omega-3, let's give them sardines. If you don't, there are a lot of food that actually can make the dogs better. And I think the most important what we forget is prevention. You cannot, I have people calling me when the dog is 15, what can you do? Honestly, I will do my best. But at 15 years old, having dog on all these medication and suffering from every corner of the body, there's not so much I can do. And every time when you try to switch the food or try to switch the medications, the old senior dog can go through withdrawal. And it just sometimes it's worse than just, you know, just to trying to help them. So prevention is very important. Get them on the fresh diet since day one, having the right supplements, and just try to do it as natural as possible, and always research and always ask your vet, what are the side effects? What can cause in the future? Because there are a lot of medication that you won't even know, but that will cause a lot of, bad diseases in the future.
Yeah, and that's kind of it. I mean, that's a huge issue for people as they get older. They have this, 6, 7, 8 drugs, and then it's hard to know, is this person sick because they're sick, or are they sick because of the medications? And that's what's happening with our 15-year-old dogs as well. They may be on 6 different medications. And same thing, it's hard to know, are they having another symptom or are they having a side effect from the drugs? And to be fair, I think we can use prescription medications in reasonable quantities with other options as well. But it's this all this way or all that way, that does not work.
I think that's what even my mom was visiting, and she opens up this big box of pills. I'm like, seriously, mom? Like, do you know what these pills are for? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay. But she has this horrible cough, like horrible, you think she's choking. So I started to research on the medication. I says, Ma, it looks like this pill is the side effect, of, and that's the cough. And she was like, well, what do I do? I says, okay, if you go to a doctor, he will give you a medication for the cough. But, on top of that, but you need to talk to him about this medication. And I'm sure there is something else better. You can exchange it and switch it and see how you are, And then I told her, you are what you eat. And we had the experiment. I literally was cooking for her while she was here. And she tells me, I cannot lose weight. I'm, too old. I says, no, Ma, that's an excuse. And I literally created a plan, and I started to talk to her. This is what's important: protein, vegetables, the food pyramid. There is something about that, mom, So we don't go to Dunkin' Donuts and eat 5 donuts at once. No, no, no. And I'm not going to buy it for you. We just going to do it my way. And she lost like 3 pounds. And she couldn't even believe it. She was like, oh my God, everything fits. I was like, we are what you eat. And it's the same for our pets. Literally, you can see it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's the thing. I mean, there's everybody's in a different position financially. And sometimes, kibble is the only thing that people can afford to do. But even with that, there's several things they could consider changing to help make what the dog is eating a little bit better. So that's the frustrating thing, is that we
Mhm.
think it must be only this way instead of looking at different options that could offer so much improvement.
Yeah. I mean, I now when I talk to the clients, they don't want to do it because it's expensive. I was like, okay, that's okay. But when you have that kibble, just make sure you add moisture. It's just a little cup of, filtered water is fine. Bone broth is fine. Listen, steam the broccoli, give it to your dog. Oh, you're not supposed to give dog any table food. No, that's a myth. You're not supposed to give them pizza and hot dog and Chinese leftovers, but if you are cooking and you have a sweet potato, you have a broccoli, you have an egg, feel free to give it to them in small amounts. So it's completely okay. And it's a great thing you can do instead of giving them high processed treats. Do a little container of fresh food just for the dog. And yes, they love treats, but it's very simple to find out what your dog loves. And then when you open the fridge and they're begging for a snack, just give them a piece of carrot, give them a little piece of dried chicken, dehydrated snacks, freeze dried snacks. So much better than these milk bones and greenies and all that stuff. That's where you start. Throw out all the processed stuff from your pantry and just start with the fresh food. Find out what your what dog likes, and it's very easy. My dog likes blueberries, apples. It's okay to give it to your dog.
Right on. Let's talk about the blocks for a minute, because this was such a crazy. I mean, we've talked about it before, but just your experience with this thing was just very intense, very 24/7 for 5 days at any rate.
Yeah, it was definitely life changing. I was very skeptical. I found some YouTube videos that it's all scam. And I was like, oh my God, so I was really not sure what's going to happen when I get in. But the second I got in, just at the airport where the limousine picked us up and brought us to the hotel, I'm like, okay, this is real. And then Wes Bergman goes on the stage and just give us all the rules, what we are not allowed to do or what we are allowed to do. And what we're going to be doing since 5 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock p.m. And it's up to us if we want to, be a part of it. And it's up to us what we bring home from that. Was really life changing. The biggest challenge for me was, of course, the camera. When the camera got right into my face, like the real cameras all over, and people looking at me and listening to me, I forgot English. I could not speak. I was like, no freaking way I can do it. There were some people who actually left the first day because it was just too much. But after 2 days, I was like, I came here for a reason. And I have to take every little bit of knowledge out of here. I have to learn and I have to make the best out of it. And I made incredible relationship with the business owners they were attending. All the coaches coaching us every single day were brilliant, fun. It was just really mind blowing. And I didn't know it's going to be as good as, I was scared at the beginning, but it was an amazing experience. And I highly recommend it to everybody because that whole experience is definitely get you out of your comfort and get you on the right path.
Right on. So, if you would share what was told you about why you were chosen to be there.
I first thought it's like, whoever can pay the amount of money to be in or whoever, they choose. But then Bess came and he actually sat on the stage. A lot of you are wondering why you were chosen. I'm like, yeah, because even me, I'm like sitting there and they said it's going to be a startup. Suddenly I see people next to me, business owner, who already make over $1 million. And I'm like, oh my God, I cannot possibly compete with these because I'm just starting a business. And, I had successful business in the past, but it's just the pressure. I was like, yeah, why did you choose me? And it was really great because he said there were thousands of businesses and they were the coaches and everybody, the crew went through everybody. And they were doing eliminating, and then they came to a group of people. Then Wes Bergman takes over and literally goes through everything, through the social media, through all the interviews we did, through all the emails we did. He checks the websites, he checks everything. And then if he sees a potential in that person or in that business, he will definitely give you the green light to come on and give you the opportunity to come on. And I still kind of didn't believe all this, but I remember life-changing experience when I was being coached by Neiman. And I was all comfortable. I didn't care about the cameras. I was, old me. And I'm like talking about the dogs and everything. You are what you eat. And if your dog is itchy, maybe we should not be reaching out for the medication. Let's just see what the dog is eating. Maybe the dog is sensitive to something we don't even know. And there are ways to find out if your dog is sensitive now to certain things. And he looks at me, he was like, oh my God, I'm calling you next week. I need this. I need my dog is so this. And he was like, oh, why nobody is talking about that? Why nobody is telling me this to do this? Because he has a lot of money. So every time when he goes to the vet, of course, he will spell everything just to get to the point of the problem with the dog. But he says, I have been in the vet office for the last 6 months and nobody is giving me an answer. And he's still itching and it drives me crazy. So I was like, okay, so this is what you do. And I had a really great conversation. I was like, I didn't even know. Like, this is great. And then the last day, I'm talking to Wes, and we supposed to say thank you and just catch up on the whole program. And I came to him, and I'm still like little, like, he's like a big, and I'm like shy. I don't want to really, like, I'm so like, I don't want to, I'm scared to even come up with him after a week. And I said, Wes, I'm going to make it short. Thank you so much for this. It was a life changing. And he goes, Marketa. And I'm like, he remembers my name. It's like from the
Yes.
150 people, like, oh my God, here's my name. And then he says, listen, whatever you're doing, keep doing. It's so important. It's hard. But when I saw what you're doing, I wish I knew you when my 9-year-old Saint Bernard was dying. And I'm like looking at him, I was like, oh my God, like he literally like knows who I am, what I do. And he's encouraging me to go through everything just to keep doing because it's really important. And him as a dog owner completely understands what we are here trying to do. And I think that was the big lesson too. What I realized during the blocks and interacting with 150 people really don't know that there is something more to the natural remedies and trying to look what the dog is eating and trying to go differently about than just taking injections and medication and looking the whole dog or cat as the whole thing, not just, getting the band-aid every time when you search for answers. And people really started to ask me. I was like, wow, I didn't know that exists. I didn't know that actually people came up to me. It's just like, so wait, it's like the flea medication I'm giving my dog bad? I says, this is what happens when you give your dog flea medication. It might cause a seizure and this and that and that. And if your dog is senior or if this and that, why would you put your dog through it? And there are other natural remedies that actually preventions for the dog having against fleas and ticks you can actually use. And they really did not know. And that's what I realized. People don't know. And we are here to let them know that there are other options and they can choose and they can decide for themselves and follow these recommendations or kind of research on it more and see if it works for their dog without giving them all the chemicals. I mean, how many loans and everything is full of pesticides, and your dog is literally on the floor 24/7, just picking up everything from everywhere, licking the paws and putting that in the body. All the candles, all the all the stuff that we have
All
home,
the
all the
stuff.
cleaning supplies. We don't even know that we are harming ourselves and our dog. Nobody is telling us. Why? Because when you look at the TV, there are commercials for Febreze, for this and that. So we are literally brainwashed by the commercials thinking this is the best for us. Honestly, it's not. There's
Right.
one dog from four dying of cancer. Every second dog has allergies. Why? We should ask that question, everybody.
Yes.
Like, why? Look at around what's happening. And if you can prevent it just a little bit or start by little movements, do so, because you will be crying when your dog is not dying at 9 years old. And you didn't even know that you could do actually something little about it to make him till 12. It's just like us, not necessary. There are better, different ways, and you just have to learn about it, be open to it, and do more research and be open to what's out there, because the FDA medication was not approved for my baby cat 3 years ago. And now if I go to vet and I say, hey, listen, my cat is dying, they know how to save my cat. They didn't know that 4 years ago, and I almost lost him if I didn't listen, right? Now
Right.
they can help me because it's getting out there. Everything is changing. But this planet is full of chemicals that we don't really need. And there's a reason why they're building more medical facility cancer treatments for everybody, because it's getting worse and worse by day.
So, for pet parents who are really new to holistic care, what is one simple change they can make today that could have a huge impact on their pet's health in the future?
Take the food that you are feeding your dog, turn it around, and look at the ingredients. If you see some kind of mystery meal and ingredients list that is longer than half of the page of the kibble ingredients or whatever you're feeding your dog, there is something going on, and it's going to cause more problems in the future. So definitely check what you're feeding your dog now with. Even you think your dog is fabulous, it might not be the same way in 2 years, because you're literally building um, a lot of problems in the future. But just check the food and start with a little topper, so fresh food, or look into the medication and all the allergy stuff that your dog is on, and just start to question the things that you are giving to your dog, and go ahead and ask your vet. Because I just had a pet parent too. I says, try if they have something else. And the vet comes and says, wow, we have the CBD. I'm like, huh, another option at the vet now, CBD. And that's great. Before, like 2 years ago, they would not have a CBD stock in the vet office. Now they have it.
I mean, and that's it, right? Getting options, because that's what it's all about. So, where can people find you? So, if they want to learn more about what you're doing, work with you, all of those good things.
I would love if anybody who is listening or will be listening in the future, if you have any kind of questions, just please email me at holisticpetcoach@gmail.com, holisticpetcoach@gmail.com. I would love to start any kind of conversation about grooming, holistic pet care, different medication, natural remedies, anything that you question or you are wondering about, just email me and we can hop on the phone and start to have a conversation. I do have a website, but because when I started the blogs with Wes Bergman, it's a piece of, so I'm actually redoing my website. But if you, my old website is still on, it's paws-balance.com, paws-balance.com. You can see my social media there, YouTube channel, and all that stuff. But the best way to reach me is on my email, holisticpetcoach@gmail.com. And I would love to talk to everybody about anything. I'm open to any kind of conversation and just learn from each other because I'm no expert. I started recently, but my goal is to prolong my dogs and cats' lives, and the same goes for you. And I'm learning a lot on my way to get there, and I want to share that with you. So if you are thinking about something and not sure, let's brainstorm it together and figure it out. It's about just communication and working together and trying to help these dogs because they deserve it. They deserve us to have the voice for them because they just, they cannot tell us what's wrong or what would be better. It's up to us to give them the best care ever.
Right on. Marketa, as always, a pleasure. For those of you listening, we've got more episodes of Healing Tales come up. If you haven't already, go subscribe on your favorite podcast channel, our YouTube channel, and listen to some of the past episodes too. Take good care, and we'll see you in the future. Thanks for listening to Healing Tales, where pet parents become healers, one tail wag at a time. Want more tools and support? Head to drruthroberts.com. Until next time, trust your gut, question the noise, and keep showing up for your pet.